Hi, I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories.
Hello, I'm Claire Munday, the creator of Tappy Toes.
And welcome to Franchising Brand Stories Season 3, brought to you by FranRec, the specialist staff and executive recruiters for the UK franchise industry. And I'm going to do it. This is the show where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK. So if you're considering investing into a franchise business, then this show is for you. This show should form part of your due diligence. And this show is all about finding out what's beyond the brochure, what's behind some of these wonderful brands. And we do that by having a lovely conversation with the people that have founded these brands. So it's to help you choose a franchise that's right for you. And it's live, so you can ask questions. So if you are here, please put in a question in the comments, and we'll bring that up throughout the conversation, and we can find out from Claire all about it. So the brand story that we're going to hear today is Tappy Toes with the lovely Claire Munday. Claire, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. So we're going to start by asking you, what is Tappy Toes?
Yeah.
All about tap dancing? Or
no, not quite. But some people do think that. But yeah, we're a children's dance franchise. We have classes for children from 6 months, so when they're just sitting up, which is obviously more music and sensory, all the way up to age 6. So we go into schools, Key Stage 1, and teach reception year 1 and 2 as well. So 6 months to 6 years. We also offer dance parties as well. And obviously we're a franchise, so we have classes all around the UK.
Fantastic. A great introduction, and good for people that, again, are thinking about what franchise to invest in and what they're all about, to really understand, first of all, what Tappy Toes is. So just to sort of give people an idea of where you're at today, in terms of number of franchisees, how many franchisees have you got, and sort of where are you at right now?
Yeah. So we currently have 32 franchises. We're covering over 100 locations with those 32 franchisees. We are all the way up in Scotland, all the way down to Plymouth, and kind of everywhere in between. We also have a franchisee over in Dubai in the UAE, and she's covering 4 locations over there. So yeah, we're growing.
Wow, you're getting about, you're dancing about all over the place.
We are, yeah, getting the nation's children dancing.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, of course. Excellent. Well, look, if you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories. And today we are hearing the story of Tappy Toes with the lovely Claire Munday. And Franchising Brand Stories is brought to you by FranRec, the UK's specialist staff and executive recruiters to the franchise industry. And this is where we're starting to get into the story now, and we're going to begin chapter 2. And this really is the part of the show where we encourage you to come in with your comments, and to ask questions about the franchise. As I say, if you're a franchisee, it's really important to understand and align with the business that you might be getting involved with. So this really is the time to do that. But before we get into that section, I want to ask you, Claire, let's take you right back in time now.
Yeah.
Right to the distant past, not too distant. But where did it all begin for you, and why dancing? What inspired?
Yeah, sure. So how far back do you want to go? I mean, I have danced all my life, so dance has always been a huge part of my life. At 16 years old, I was accepted into like a professional dance college, but didn't have any money or funds to get me there. So I started fundraising. I think I was 17 at this point. Started fundraising to get myself to a college, professional dance college. And long story short, I managed to raise the funds a couple of days before the course started, and off I went. So yeah, so that was kind of my the start of my journey, really getting to that college, because from there I trained for 3 years as a dancer. I went on to dance professionally for 10 years, and alongside it all, I always taught dance. So it's just been a massive part of my life. And I was teaching dance for other people. I realized there was a real gap in the market for the younger children and dance and what was available for them. And that's where the idea of Tappy Toes came from. I lived in Watford at the time, and I just created one lesson plan and I delivered it in Watford. And yeah, it went down a storm. Everybody seemed to love it, and it grew and grew from there. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. I love I mean, what a thing to do when you were so young, just 16 or 17, to want to raise that capital to begin the business. You know, it must have been really hard at such a young age to, you know, to think about what you had to do. So was it sort of crowdfunding or that type of thing?
No, it was, so basically I had such a passion and a love for dance, and that is what I wanted to do. And I knew that if I didn't raise the money to get to this dance college, it was going to be very hard for me to kind of achieve that dream. So it was things like, I mean, this is a long time ago, Harvey, but it was things like we would hold, it was quite a while ago, we would hold raffles in the local pub. We did talent competitions that we used to raise money. And yeah, just stuff like that. I can remember sitting in the library, because the internet wasn't what it is now, and going through a huge book of companies and just writing to companies, that asking them for money. I mean, it sounds crazy now. I do wonder like how I thought to do that at that age. I don't really know. I think I come from a family of, I'm the oldest of 6 children. I was kind of left to my own devices. So I've always been quite independent from a very young age. And I think maybe that's where it stemmed from. I was kind of independent. I've got to do this myself. No one else is going to do this for me. And yeah, I can remember sitting for hours in the library, just taking down the addresses and like even handwriting these letters, asking for sponsorship. And it worked. You know, I ended up getting sponsorship enough to get me to college. And then when it came to kind of starting the Tappy Toes business, I was dancing professionally. I didn't have much money, so I didn't have a lot of money to invest. And I remember coming up with the name Tappy Toes and my friend saying to me, "Oh, it's great. It's a brilliant name. You need to trademark it and protect the name." And I said, "Well, I haven't got any money. I can't." And so she lent me £250. And I'm sorry for anyone who's heard this story before, but she lent me £250 to send off for the trademark, to trademark the name Tappy Toes. And that was the start really of the Tappy Toes journey, getting that name trademarked and developing it into a brand.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, I love the fact that you said there about it was the passion that really drove you as that young 17-year-old, you know, to go down to the library, to you know, to find these people that wanted to support you. And it's passion that is, I'm sure, an important element that you look for when you're looking for franchisees. I mean, perhaps we could move on to that as a question. I mean, what type of skills and experiences do franchisees need to be part of your business? You know, what attributes and things?
Yeah. So, like you said, that passion is really, really important to me, because I never went into this as a money-making thing. It was a passion and I loved it, and I love kids and I love passing on that knowledge of dance and all of that stuff. And I think having that passion is something that you can't really teach. So when I have people applying for the franchise, that's kind of one of the first things I'm looking for. You know, how passionate are they about child development? And it's more child development than dance in some ways, because they're very, very young. So I can train somebody on how to deliver the dance side of it safely and effectively. But it's very difficult to train someone to just have that love and enthusiasm for child development. So it's really important. We have a wide variety of people that join our network, but a lot of them happen to be teachers that have been early years specialists. We've got teachers that have been Senkos at schools. We've even got secondary school teachers that were teaching dance, that wanted to kind of get out of teaching in schools, but they still love working with children and little people. And so this has been, you know, a kind of natural move for them to then own their own business, with none of the politics of all the stuff that goes on at some schools. some, not all.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's great as well. To, you know, a lot of people, when they're thinking, is this the business for me to invest in? They might be thinking, oh, you know, I need to be an expert dancer, or just, you know, it's all about dance. But it's really interesting to hear you say it's about child development. And
Yeah.
I imagine, you know, when they're very young, it's coordination, it's balance, it's confidence. You know,
Yeah.
to be able to enjoy dance at a
Yeah.
very young age helps
And
me.
some of the things that you wouldn't consider or think about, you know, in our classes, we're teaching them vocabulary. They're learning new words. They're learning how to communicate. They're learning social skills. They're learning things like patience, taking turns, giving props back. You know, that kind of thing when you're 2 years old is difficult. You don't want to give the pom-pom back. You want to keep it. Take it home and shake it forever. But
I know what you mean there, Claire. Definitely, yeah.
yeah, but you're teaching all of those things as well as the dance, and that's what I love so much about it. We see children that come in completely shy, clinging to mum or dad, like they don't want to get involved, but their parent knows that they will love it if they give it a chance. And after that, kind of, we do like a 3-week trial period. After that 3-week trial period, they're completely integrated into the class, and you see this little one develop and blossom from being completely shy to just running into the room and, you know, doing their twirl all by themselves. And that's the side of it. You know, yes, I love the dance, but I love that. That's the rewarding side of it as well. It's just seeing that development.
Dance is the vehicle to the development, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before we get even more into this fascinating story, let's just recognise the fact that we've got a couple of people have joined us early on for our conversation. Great to have you here, Simon. Simon Wise has joined us from FranRec, our lovely sponsor, and we'll have a look at his question in a moment. And we've also got Sanjay here, lovely chap Sanjay, and he's put, love the Tappy Toes franchise concept and the benefit it provides to this age group. Getting kids off electronics and iPads and getting them to take part in group activities is key to social and personal development. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you make of that? We've just been discussing exactly about that, haven't we? You know,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Yeah, I completely agree. I won't go off on a tangent about smartphones and children and gaming, and don't get me started. But yeah, I love the fact that we are getting them in as young as we possibly can, which we hope will then build healthy habits for life. And actually, there have been some studies done. I couldn't tell you where at the moment, but there have been studies done that I've looked into that show that teenagers who dance from a young age are obviously more likely to keep that up, and it does get them off the games, it does get them off their phones. It's such a healthy habit. So if we can get them in at really young age and they keep doing it all through their lives, I mean, how amazing is that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a question I was going to ask you, you know, a fantastic business. We've heard a little bit there about what the end product is, and that's what's driving you as a franchisor and as a franchisee to, you know, to be successful in your business, that passion. But when you were at that early stage and you'd come up with this idea and you were passionate about dancing and you were looking at ways to grow your business, why was franchising your sort of growth model of choice? Why did you want to share it with these lovely franchisees?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I could just set up classes and hire teachers and get it running that way. But actually, what I love about franchising is it makes that person take ownership of, you know, I could send a teacher somewhere, but they're not fully invested in that because it's not their business. They're getting paid their hourly rate. Having franchisees means that you've got local people, feet on the ground in those local areas, building the Tappy Toes brand in their area. And I think that's why I started looking into franchising. I started in Watford, as I said, and then we opened classes in Rickmansworth and Bushey, like all the neighbouring kind of towns. And I think I got to a stage where I couldn't do it all myself. And that's when franchising kind of came into play, and I started to research it and learn about it, because obviously like Simon has said, I was a dancer, a professional dancer. I didn't really know anything about business back then. This is almost 20 years ago now. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about franchising. So I had to learn and research. I found an amazing company that helped me with the franchise agreement, the operations manual, all of that stuff that you need to kind of build a franchise. Back to real basics of kind of getting everything out of my head and getting it down on paper as systems and processes, which, I know everyone talks about in business, but it's so true. For a very long time, everything was just in my head. I didn't even have a proper syllabus written out, so putting all of those things into place, ready to kind of hand that to a franchisee and say, right, you've got everything you need now to take this business and grow it. Absolutely. It's been the best way, I think, of building the business.
You clearly got a strong foundation, and coming from a position where you knew a lot about dance, you had a passion for your business, but you didn't know anything about franchising, is a great position to come from as a business, because then you take steps to learn and create this strong foundation for your franchise business. And like you say, then provide those systems, because if you're watching this today and you're thinking, I'm just such a passionate dancer, or I've been teaching dance at school, but I'm fed up with some of the bureaucracy. I really want to take the elements of what I see with the children when they're learning to dance and they're developing and they're enjoying it, building confidence. And I want to take that to something. You want that proven business model. You want the systems to all be in place. You don't want to have to think about that. You can think about how you can grow your business, but with this fantastic model with which franchise businesses give you. So it's great to hear how you did that.
I think that also, like, some people look at franchising and think there's a big fee to pay, and why don't I just do it by myself? But actually, when you really look at the nitty-gritty of starting up a business by yourself and, having to do the trademarking, creating the website, coming up with the brand name, all of that stuff, the social media graphics, like all of that stuff is kind of done for you in a franchise. We have, for an example, 20 social media posts a month that go out for all of the franchisees, just as generic posts to keep their social media platforms ticking over, and then they fill in the gaps, but they've always got something from head office coming out. So it's little things like that you think, actually, it's really good value for money. The brand is already recognized. It's a proven success. We've been really fortunate to win quite a few awards with Tappy Toes. So I think someone coming on board can say, oh, okay, it must be decent. It must be, the lessons that they're teaching must be good. Look at the almost 700 reviews on the website kind of thing. So if you're starting up by yourself from scratch, you haven't got any of that. And I think it just takes a lot longer to grow the business in the early days.
Definitely. You said there about lots of reviews on a website, and I think it's very important, again, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what should I do? What business should I invest in? Get different perspectives as well. Get the look online for reviews, listen to this, try and understand the people behind the business, talk to other franchisees, talk to other dance schools, other dance franchises, because you've got to understand those perspectives for you to help you make that right decision. And I love what you said there, and perhaps we could go on a little bit later on about the support that you offer. But one of the questions that I was going to ask you now is, we've spoken a little bit about passion as one of those attributes. Perhaps we could focus a little bit more. You look for the passion. Are there any other, let's say you're a teacher, you're passionate about dance. Is that enough? And is that the demographic of people that you want in your franchise network?
So I would say it's obviously really important, but that's not the only thing that I'm kind of looking for. Our process, when somebody looks into Tappy Toes as a business, they're going to look at our prospectus, they're going to see whether they like what's on offer, and then they'd book in a discovery call to have a chat with me. And during that call, not only am I sort of presenting what Tappy Toes is, but I'm also trying to find out about them and what makes them tick. what do they want to do with the business? Because if they just want to run 1 or 2 classes a week, then that's maybe we're not going to be the right franchise for them. You know, we want people that are still going to be a bit ambitious. The work is flexible, they can work around their children, but we want people that want to build the Tappy Toes brand alongside us. So I suppose you're looking for kind of resilience, organisation, all of those types of skills that are really important for any business owner, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and trying to get that work-life balance as well. You know, what does somebody who's thinking about this as a business, you know, how much time have they got to put into it? You know, what was their motivation? Maybe they were working 60 hours a week as a teacher and doing lots of marking and all the things that you have to do there, and they're just looking to spend a bit more time with their own family, have flexibility. You know, does that provide those different work-life balances? Can you adapt the business model?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, whilst we don't want somebody to just run 1 class a week and that's it, we also don't put in kind of minimum classes per week for franchisees. It is up to them how big they want to build it. And they can run it alongside their kind of family day, if you like. So they can take the kids to school and then go and do a couple of classes, come back in the afternoon, do a bit of admin or marketing, pick up the kids from school. And that's it. It fits into that kind of school day, which is amazing. There's the option to run classes during school holidays, but it's not forced. Like, we don't make that compulsory. So if you are the type of person that wants to just run classes term time and actually not work in the summer holidays, that's okay. Like, we do allow that. So yeah, it really does kind of fit alongside. I've even taken my kids along to classes with me when they were much younger, when I've needed to. And that works as well. You know, you can take them along if you got stuck and you needed to. And that's quite nice. It's quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely it is, because it's nice for people to see your own children enjoying the thing that you're giving to them to enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Let's have a think now. So, you know, again, I'm always trying to think from the perspective of somebody who's looking to invest in the business, and one of the things that I think about is, what does that journey look like from you've now decided that Tappy Toes is something that you want to have a look at a bit more detail in. What does the sort of the journey look like for a franchisee from the point they make that first phone call to the time, not running the business, but the time they start the business? What does that journey look like for them?
Yeah, so first of all, I mentioned earlier about our prospectus. They would have a read through that to make sure it's the business for them. Then they would jump on a call with me. We would make sure we're both a good fit. After which we go through finances in like a second call. So if they go away and think, right, yes, I want to do this, we'll then go through a spreadsheet of finances. You know, how much do you want to earn? What does that look like? Is that feasible? And we go through that. And then they would be asked to do like a business plan. So we have a template. So they would fill out a business plan to show us that they've done their research and they've done their due diligence. You know, they've looked at the competition in the area, all of that kind of thing. So we don't make it too easy. And then, yeah, and then obviously there's the franchise agreement that they would look through and make sure they fully understand what they're signing up to. And once that's all done and they've paid their franchise fee, we book in our training. And our training generally, it is quite bespoke to each person, but generally speaking, it's 2 full days in person, going through how to actually teach the lesson plans, you know, going through the lesson plans and learning that side of the business. Then it's 2 days on Zoom, going through the back end of the business, you know, how to market the business, how to run your booking system, all of that kind of thing. And then there's additional training kind of as and when it's needed. So if there's anything after those initial 4 days that they feel they haven't quite grasped or they want to go through, then we would just book in extra time with them when it's needed. So yeah, so that's basically what happens when you come and get in touch with us. And then we sort of normally have about a 4 to 6 week period of marketing before they actually launch, because we want to make sure we raise awareness in the area that the class is coming, and get people booked in before they offer that first session. So yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. No, that's great, and it's really good for people to understand and know what they're going to expect in those weeks and months where they're making that decision and starting to get onboarded once they have made that decision. And it's good for people to understand what that looks like. We've got a good question that's come up here from Simon, and I'd like to bring that in at this stage. And the question that Simon's asked is, now we've gone through that prospect journey, so we're now as a business, we're a business owner, and we're ready for the work to begin.
Yeah.
So what does a day look like for a franchisee? You get up in the morning, and what happens?
Yeah. So majority of our franchisees have young children. So a lot of them are still doing the school runs, and they have young children, or they have even younger children and they've got to drop them at nursery or whatever. So often it will start with that school run, and then in the early days when we're marketing, we do a lot of online marketing, but there's also some legwork of going around, handing out flyers, visiting nurseries, offering demos in preschools and toddler groups and things like that to really spread the word. So we do a lot of that in the early days. Once their classes are set up, they're usually teaching in the morning, so often they'll have 3 classes in the morning and then stop at sort of lunchtime, come home, do a bit of marketing or social media, do a bit of admin. We've got quite a strict process of following up customers. So if somebody inquires about a class at Tappy Toes, we've got quite a strict procedure of what they need to do to turn that inquiry into a customer that stays for a long time. So they'd be following that process. And then they might have a nursery session in the afternoon. So they'd go into a nursery delivering classes, pick up the kids from school, and that's their day generally. We offer parties as well. So a lot of our franchisees, they might have parties at the weekend or after school, depending on when they want to sort of book those in. But yeah, that's generally how it looks.
Fantastic. I mean, we've spoken a little bit there about some fantastic support that's clearly offered, because you can't just start your business and suddenly lots of children arrive and you're teaching them dancing. You've got to go out and connect and find people that want to join those classes. And it's clear there that you do lots of things to help. I mean, and we've spoken about that in a few different guises, but perhaps you could summarize that support. I mean, you said there are 20 social media posts, doing the actual legwork where you're walking around and knocking on doors to say, look, we've got this fantastic thing. We've got a new business partner in your area. How would you summarize that support that franchisees get?
Yeah, so I think in the initial stages, when I'm talking to people about coming on board, I try to make it really clear to them that there is going to be legwork in the marketing in the beginning, because as much as I can do online, I'm not in their local area. I can't walk the streets and flyer and put up posters, etc., etc. So we make that really clear that that's going to be their job. To fill their classes and to market locally is going to be their job. We give them a specific marketing plan on how that looks, what they should be doing, and that's a whole 6-week plan. So for example, on this day, you need to give out this many flyers. On this day, you need to have called this many nurseries. Like, it's quite detailed. And then on the week of the launch, it goes into daily details of what they should be doing. So as long as they kind of follow that, and I try to keep them accountable for doing that, then hopefully they will have enough children booked in to get started. And then the ongoing support, we do a monthly 1-to-1. So I will speak to each franchisee each month, and we will go through things like the number of hits direct to their web page. That tells me how much marketing they've done, because I don't share that direct link, they do. So if they're out sharing that direct link and their page has got a lot more hits than everybody else in the network, then I know they're doing a really good job of the local marketing. So that's really, really helpful. And we go through things like how many students they've got enrolled, how many new students they had that week or that month, and things like that. So clear kind of KPIs, if you like. Then we have our monthly group sessions. So all of the franchisees can jump onto a Zoom call, and it could be themed. There could be an outside expert talking about things like financing or sales and marketing or whatever, or it could just be a general conversation. What are you struggling with? What do you need? And we'll go from there. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. We obviously also have our annual conference, which is like the most amazing thing ever, where we all get together, and I just love it. We get together. It's always the first Saturday in March. We have loads of amazing speakers coming in and just getting us all revved up and motivated. And it's a really good chance for the franchisees to network with each other, which I think is really, really important, because we're all working for that same goal of, building the Tappy Toes brand and spreading the Tappy Toes joy. So getting all together and kind of supporting each other is really, really nice.
I think you're absolutely right. So important. Running a business can be a lonely thing. And when I say lonely, I don't mean lonely that you don't see anybody. I mean lonely that you've got stuff going on up here that only you can sort out. But when you're a franchisee or franchisor, and you're talking to your franchisees, actually, they're helping you. But you can share those experiences, share some of those challenges. One thing I picked up on that you said, it's not easy. And that's a good thing to say, in my view, because when we have a franchise business, we are offering support. We are offering a proven model, but it does require work. You can't just sit back thinking, I paid my franchise fees, business is going to come to me, I don't need to do anything. It's not like that. You have to work hard, don't you?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think I have changed the way I recruit or award franchises, shall we say, over the last few years, because I think perhaps that wasn't clear enough in the beginning. So now I really tried to make that clear that, yes, it's a proven business. We've got lots of awards. We've got lots of lovely reviews. We know that parents and kids love it, but it's going to be completely new in your area where you're starting up. So you're going to have to do the legwork. And I say that right at the beginning from that first call, because I don't want anyone coming on board that thinks that they can, like you say, just pay the money, sit back and not do anything, because it's just not going to work. And then that's going to reflect badly on me and, and on the brand. And we definitely don't want that. So
no, absolutely.
It's making it clear what's expected from the off.
Absolutely. If you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories, brought to you by FranRec, specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK franchise industry. And today we're hearing the story of Tappy Toes with the lovely founder, Claire Munday. If you have just joined us, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen now. And you will get the replay of the whole episode. You can go right back to the beginning, like a time machine. I've just put a quick comment up here because it related well to what we were talking about. Darren Lake has put, so true, the power of local marketing. I always said to franchisees, don't rely on Google and page search. Thanks, Darren, for that comment. But you clearly definitely offer that support and, those KPIs to really, so that franchisees can gauge how they're doing. They don't just go, oh, it's suddenly gone really quiet. They know what's going on, and they know what leads to it being busy and what leads to it not being busy.
Yeah, and when I'm checking those numbers, I can then look at, if somebody's not getting very many hits on their webpage directly, then I can contact that franchisee to say, look, your web hits are really down this month. What have you been doing marketing wise? What should we do to kind of bring those back up? How can I support you? So it's really important to have those kind of measurements in place so that you can see if somebody's struggling, because perhaps that franchisee's having a really bad time or got something going on at home and hasn't done anything. And that sort of thing is good for me to know as well, because if they do need a bit of extra support with their mental health, for example, that's something that we can step in and help with as well. So, yeah.
I'm moving on now to my favorite part of this, actually, particularly when we're dealing with a company and a brand that offers an end service that can really make a difference in people's lives. And actually, you're lucky enough to be one of the brands that can offer a difference in almost 3 people's lives, or 3 stages. You've got your franchisees, you've got the staff that work within that wonderful environment, and of course you've got the end users, the wonderful children that are whose lives are truly being changed with dance and the confidence and development learning. I'm sure you have tons of stories, but are there a few that stick out in your mind that you could share with us?
Well, a really quick one, because it's about the end user, as you say. One of the little children that I taught Tappy Toes to, from she was just walking. She's now the same age as my daughter, so she's 9, and she's now playing Little Cosette in Les Mis. So that's like, oh my goodness! And she was in Annie a little while ago. I went to watch her in Annie. I'd kept in touch with the parents, so little things like that is just amazing. Like, her dance journey started in a Tappy Toes class with me, and I'm like watching her on like the big stage now, so that's like amazing. In terms I know, it's just lovely. In terms of franchisees, there is one particular franchisee, I won't name her, but she was working in a school. It became so stressful to the point that she was signed off with stress, and she was basically just hating it. She was having a terrible time. It really, really affected her mental health. She got in touch with me, and she was really honest about that. And she almost thought that I wouldn't want her because she had these struggles with her mental health. Anyway, long story short, I thought she was fabulous, and I just thought she's just doing the wrong thing. Like, she'll make an amazing franchisee. And sure enough, she did come on board. She left the teaching, she came on board, and now she's running full classes, waiting lists. She's doing absolutely amazingly, but more importantly, she loves it, and she just loves working with the kids. You know, her mental health is much, much better. She's happy in what she's doing, and she's making a really successful business. And so that for me is another one of my whys, like to see that transformation from, you know, she was almost apologizing in those early days, like, oh, I don't know if I'd be any good, I'm suffering with this. And to see that completely transform is just fabulous. Yeah.
Very, very powerful stuff. And I think it's a really good reminder to anybody who's watching this, anybody who's stuck in a rut somewhere and thinking, I'm just not happy, you know, it's monotonous, and, you know, and it does affect your mental health. Whatever we choose for our careers, we have to do it a lot of the day, and we have to think about it even when we're not doing it. So it's a huge part of our life. And to do something or have something that can bring a smile to your face and make you happy, and clearly you recognize and see that, it's fantastic stuff. Let's have a look. We've got a fair few comments. I want to just recognize the fact that we've got the lovely Leslie Flowers with us. Great to have Paul Sims here. And we've got Darren, who is putting up some great comments. Let's see what he has to say very quickly. This is lovely to have people here live, and lovely. Yeah, absolutely. So totally see the smile on the face of a franchisee transformation. You know, that's it, isn't it? You know, to have a franchise business, you know, one of your goals has got to be to see that smile, you know, and to see someone's life transform like that. We are racing along today, and we're right in the middle of the story, but we are getting slightly towards the end now. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, because we've touched upon it, is you're going to have challenges in your business. Obviously, we've spoken about the support, but can you give any examples where someone's had a real challenge as a franchisee? They're really stuck on something has gone a little bit wrong, and they've come to you, and you've found a way through with them.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do, is try and sort out the challenges. So one of my franchisees, we had our monthly meeting, and she could not break into nurseries. She didn't have contracts. We do a lot of work with schools and nurseries, and she just couldn't seem to kind of break through and get a nursery contract. And we had a really good chat about it. We went through the system. Again, we've got quite a strategic system in place of, you know, how you approach them, email templates, what you say, phone scripts about what you say. You know, we went through it all again. And I said to her, look, let's meet again in 2 weeks, and let's do this, and this, and let's see where we're at. So off she went, kind of a bit more motivated, because it can be really demotivating and kind of demoralizing when you want something to happen and it's just not. And then once you lose your motivation, it's really hard to get it back. But she went away a little bit more excited about it, and was like, right, I'm going to do this. And I think literally it was maybe a month later, she's suddenly got not one, not two, but like 3 or 4 contracts, and she's ended up with at least 10 nursery contracts at different nurseries, and she's now one of the most successful franchisees when it comes to nursery contracts. And it was literally a turnaround from just having that conversation. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's amazing. And I think that one success, what it does is it floods somebody with confidence.
Yeah.
And then if you take advantage of the fact that you're feeling like that, when you're talking to the next nursery,
Yeah,
all that confidence, all that excitement, it's in your voice, and therefore they can sense it, they can feel it, and then you have another win, and it helps you even more.
Do you know what, Harvey? It's all about the belief, like the belief in what you're doing, what you're selling, the product, whatever it might be. But if you really truly believe it, that comes across. And I think that's what happened with her. Like, she'd lost a bit of belief because she just thought, oh, I'm never going to get a nursery contract. You know, nurseries in my area don't want this, you know, and she'd lost the belief. And we managed to turn that around and get that back. And sure enough, as soon as she started really believing in it again, that's when the contracts came through. So yeah,
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, you speak quite a lot there of characters, actually, because you know, a lot of the things that you're talking about come from a character, come from something that can't really be taught. You know, it's just in your character. And you know, with did you say 33 franchisees?
32.
Oh, I just added one more for you then.
I love it. Maybe 33 after today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course. But you must have met some real characters within your network. You know, some people that have used stuff that's in their heart and that you can't teach to really. They've really added value to the network. You know, can you think of any people over the years that you would describe as a real character and have helped the rest of the network, perhaps?
I mean, there are a few. I would say, depending on their backgrounds as well and what they've come from, they bring different things to the network. So I do have one franchisee who came from a marketing background, and it's so obvious, it's so clear, because she comes up with all these brilliant ideas, which she then shares. We have like a closed Facebook group where we all support each other, we share ideas. And she will share, she always shows me the ideas, and then I say, right, share them on the group because that's brilliant and everyone will love it. And it's just tiny little things, like she got a little seed packet and she put help me grow my business or something like that on the back with a QR code for customers to leave a review. And she gave it was lovely. It was so sweet. She designed it with the Tappy Toes logo and everything. It was really sweet. And she'd given out these seed packets at the end of the term to say thank you to, you know, everyone for being with her for the term. And do you mind leaving us a review? The QR code's on the seed packet. And like little things like that. But she comes up with these ideas all the time and she shares them. And that's, really lovely. I end up adding them to the ops manual, Harvey.
Of course, yeah.
It's a good idea. I'm like, right, Jessica, that's being added on.
I think they'll be added to a few people's ops manuals after this as well. Yeah. So that's what a wonderful idea. And what a great example of how franchising and how being part of a franchise network, you can add an idea into the network. And not only does it benefit you, but you see it then benefit everybody else. As a franchisee, it's pretty powerful to be involved in a business to that extent as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we on that note, like, we are very collaborative. Like, I do like to hear the ideas from franchisees, and, you know, if they have good ideas for new music, I'm very, very open to discuss. Hopefully they feel like they are all part of the team and they're all helping to kind of improve the brand. And yeah,
fantastic. Absolutely. Well, look, we are now we've kind of got to the end now of the main part of today's story, and it's been fantastic, and loved hearing the story of Tappy Toes. You know, thank you so much for sharing that story, going right way back to the past, and how you're going to help your franchisees right now and into the future. And actually, that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go into the future. But if you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, brought to you by FranRec, specialist recruiter for executive and staff in the UK's franchise industry. And today we are talking to Claire Munday from Tappy Toes, and it's been a fascinating story. But as I say, we're now getting to the franchising brand stories exclusive. So this is where you're going to tell us something about the future that no one else knows yet. You're going to reveal all. So perhaps you could let us know what's happening, what's coming up in the coming weeks and months for Tappy Toes.
Okay. Well, firstly, I saw a question from Simon earlier about how we got into Dubai and whether we have plans to kind of expand further than that. So just to address that, I found my Dubai franchisee through a Facebook ad. Funny enough, which is actually where we find a lot of our franchisees. Like Facebook advertising for our brand seems to work really, really well. So we are now looking for further franchisees in Dubai and the whole UAE region to try and build the brand out there. And we are also talking to a master franchisee for India. So watch this space. I don't want to jinx it. It's early days, but we've had a few conversations about that. So possibly that would be our next stop. But I'm still looking to grow in the UK. I would love to hit that kind of 50 franchise number. So that's the goal. So I'm going to keep plugging to get there, really.
Absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic to hear about the international growth. Very exciting. But here in the UK, I mean, you're at 32. You're looking at 50. That's 18 more.
Yeah.
Are there particular regions within the UK you've got a concentration on, or that you're looking for new franchisees?
Yeah, so I think because I started in Watford, we're very heavy in Watford and Hertfordshire. We've got Hertfordshire and Essex, sorry. We've got quite a lot of franchisees around those regions. And I would love to continue branching out from there because we've got such a good, we're really well known in those areas now. So I think kind of Barnet, Edgware, that kind of area, I'd love to find somebody there. So I've also got a lot of nursery contracts there. So somebody coming into that area would already have some contracts. So yeah, I'd like to start there. But I don't know, we've just recently launched in Plymouth and she is our first franchisee that far south. So it would be nice to kind of find some more people around that area to join Laura down in Plymouth. But I'm open to all regions, really.
Great. No, that's fantastic to hear. So we've heard the story today, and it's been a fantastic story. I have put a QR code up now that will take people directly to the Tappy Toes website. And before we finish things up and talk about what's happening next week, perhaps you could leave our listeners and our viewers with some final words about Tappy Toes and something you would like to leave them with.
Final words about Tappy Toes. I mean, Tappy Toes is all about the joy. So we want to bring joy to the children, the parents. We have a lot of grandchildren that attend. So it's all about spreading that joy and getting kids moving. So what better way to get them moving than to come and join a Tappy Toes class? So maybe people out there are listening and they've got little children. Head to the website and find a class and come join us.
Fantastic. Claire, thank you so much for joining us on Franchising Brand Stories today. It was wonderful to hear your story. I'd also like to thank everybody who has joined us here live today. I'm sorry if we didn't get all of your comments, but we can have a look at those afterwards, and I'm sure Claire will answer those after the show today. So don't forget, we have a special episode tonight of the Franchise Show, our sister show, and we'll be going back to school. Well, we are going to franchise school, and we have an episode coming live from the University of Nevada. And we have a class of franchising students who are going to ask our guests lots of questions about franchising. So that is 8:30 p.m. GMT tonight, and it is 1:30 p.m. Pacific time because it's coming from America. And join us next week on Franchising Brand Stories at 4:30 p.m. GMT as we find out what's under the hat of the BFA survey. And this is going to be with the lovely Pip Wilkins. So I hope you can join us for that exciting reveal. And until next time, my friends, take very good care. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.